recently Marvel Studios announced that they're going to be creating a Netflix television show for Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. So we here at Comicstorian decided it was high time to help you get to know this longtime fan favorite superhero. In this installment, we're going to tell you about his origins and talk about his powers and what makes Daredevil the Man Without Fear. Also, special thanks to Jason, who joins us on the show Indiebookosaurus on this channel, because without him, I don't think I would have gotten most of this information. He's the bigger Daredevil fan than me. Now, Daredevil is one of the original Stan Lee creations from 1964. Like many of the heroes from the Silver Age, his origin takes a seemingly ordinary person and forces them into an extraordinary transformation, making them into a superhero while giving them relatable characteristics. Matt Murdock is certainly one of those individuals. Matt grew up in Hell's Kitchens, one of the toughest crime-ridden neighborhoods in New York City. He was raised by his father, battling Jack Murdock, who was a professional boxer and a hero to the locals of Hell's Kitchen. His mother was assumed to be dead, but we find out later that she ran off with a Roman Catholic covet to avoid an alcoholic and abusive Jack Murdock. Despite a rough home life, Matt idolized his father as he instilled in Matt the importance of education and non-violence, hoping to raise his son to not be like him. However, one fateful day, Matt Murdock saw a blind man walking across the street about to be hit by an oncoming vehicle. Matt heroically dashed in to save the blind man, only to be struck in the eyes by a radioactive mutagen that fell off the truck, subsequently blinding him. With Matt blinded, he became an extra burden on his already struggling father, who was barely scraping by as a blue-collar boxer in Hell's Kitchen. Desperate to make more money to assist his ailing son, Jack gets into cahoots with a notorious fixer who is clearly known for fixing boxing matches. Having agreed to throw a fight, Jack Murdock is in the middle of that fight when he knows that his blind son is in the audience cheering him on. So, deciding not to disappoint his son by losing the match, he decides to not throw the fight and instead goes against the boxing fixer's wishes and defeats the opponent. Later that night, the fixer seeking retribution murders battling Jack Murdock, and thus the burning desire for justice was born into Matt Murdock. But how can a blind boy ever attain justice against such ruthless gangsters? Well, the accident that Matt went through while taking away his eyesight also enhanced his other senses, such as touch, taste, hearing, and smell. At first, the super senses overwhelmed him, but a mysterious blind ninja master named Stick took Matt Murdock under his wing and he trained him to use his newfound senses. Stick also trained him in many martial arts, which were strangely enough vastly improved with his new senses. After enough training, Matt Murdock decided to take vengeance into his own hands, and he crafted a vigilante costume out of his father's old red and yellow boxing attire. With a suit, super senses, and martial arts, Matt was ready to face his father's alleged killers. The Man Without Fear then took to the rooftops of Hell's Kitchen, seeking the members of the Fixer's gang. After confronting and defeating his henchmen, the Fixer pulled a gun on Matt and suddenly suffered a heart attack and died. But the Fixer was not enough vengeance, so Daredevil decided to track down Angelo, another Fixer lackey, and fought him into a brothel. However, the women there then attacked Matt, and he ended up knocking one of them out of the window, and he believed her to be dead. Though later she would turn out to be none other than Typhoid Mary, one of the many women that will trouble Matt for the rest of his life. Racked with guilt over his actions, he decided to go to Stick for more guidance, but his mentor was shocked at his actions and he warned against vengeance, abandoning Matt Murdock. Matt eventually followed the wishes of his father and dedicated himself to the pursuit of justice, which led to him attending law school at the Columbia University, and while at the university, he first met the beautiful and mysterious Elektra, and they fell in love. However, a tragic accident with the police led to the death of Elektra's father, and she left Columbia University and ultimately abandoned Matt to loneliness. Upon graduating, Matt landed a job with a major law firm, which would be short-lived because his moonlighting as a vigilante would always make him late for work. During this time, he met Franklin Foggy Nelson, who would become his greatest friend and his law partner. There, of course, was another woman for Matt at this point, Karen Page, who Foggy hired as the secretary for the law firm Franklin and Nelson. This is the backdrop for the early days of Matt Murdock, who fully embraced his role as Daredevil, the Man Without Fear, the blind guardian of Hell's Kitchen. So let's talk about Daredevil's powers. Matt's disability powers his ability, which is unique to the world of superheroes. The radioactive mutagen heightened all of his remaining senses, which is both a blessing and a curse. His most important ability is his radar senses, which allows him to react to his surroundings and his enemies at an uncanny rate. Stan Lee claims that his radar senses are even more powerful than his fellow New York Spider-Man's spider senses. His training with Stick further heightened his abilities with a proximity sense, which gives him a mastery over his abilities up to 75 meters. His sense of smell allows him to recognize anyone he has ever spent more than 5 minutes with, and his super hearing does all that you would basically believe super hearing could do, including being the ultimate lie detector by hearing the change of a heart rate when someone lies to him. All of these heightened senses make him a truly superhuman. Of course, all of these senses are coupled with the physique of an Olympic athlete who has gone through a rigorous training regiment. His training with stick has also given him the mastery of many martial arts that would compare to the greatest MMA fighters. He's also forged his own billy club, which is a multi-purpose tool. By day, it's a walking stick that a blind man would normally use, but at night it can be used as a billy club or broken into 2 parts and used as 2 smaller sticks. It also contains 30 feet of cable that can be used to swing around New York City. This can also be used as a grappling hook, and he can also use a hidden trigger to project the cable out of the inside and out to wherever he needs to shoot it. Of course, his abilities can also be crippling. His super senses have been used against him when he became overwhelmed by loud noises and noxious smells. These can dampen his radar senses and sometimes completely bring him to his knees. Lastly, he's not superhuman, so when he's hurt, he actually sustains injuries that can hobble or weaken him. But remember, Matt Murdock is the man without fear, and he will push himself to his utter limits in pursuit of justice, which makes him one of the most endearing heroes of the Marvel Universe. We hope you enjoyed this introduction into the world of Daredevil, and in the future we plan to bring you more videos including his epic storylines and an explanation of Daredevil's colorful rogues gallery. Bear in mind, with the Netflix show coming out, a lot of this is going to be coming out closer to that. So let us know what you think of Daredevil in the comments down below, and remember to click and subscribe to learn more about all of the characters in the Marvel Universe and the DC Universe, and anything else that we bring to you from the Comicstorian channel. I'm Benny, and I'll see you guys next time right here.